Hayawam Tawab, which is good day, or today is good. Anakna waha ibar inshallah hawalakim la'atam. Call Shabawai Baharacha Wakak Shaw Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shah. With the Hebrew Israelites coming to you week in and week out through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shah to preach to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, and Israelite foreigners. Nacham Atam Kayah Malakwat Hashemayim Korab. Repent, yea, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call Laim La Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shah Bahasham Cha HaKodash Wamashana Kabadim Zakoim Nawa Wa Malakim Shari Shalaz Zakoim Chagadawa Wachasa Washalamam Wa Barakim Laha Bachayim Shahago Shal Shalom. Ours all praise to the Most High Yahweh, which means He exists. Bahasham, in the name Yahweh Shai delivers. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Israel, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Mercy, peace, and blessings to the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom, which means peace. So this is a article on Insider. It says, forget luxury goods. U.S. shoppers are now using buy now, pay later services to pay for groceries. Hey, so the squeeze is getting tighter, man. It's going to get worser before it's get worse. All right, let's get a precept. Or it's going to get worse before it get worse. So, this is Yahzak Allah, also Ezekiel chapter 7. And it's a lot. Give me a second. This is Ezekiel chapter 7 and verse we're going to start at verse 25. It says, destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace, and there shall be none. Hey, so that's what's coming to the world. All right, people are going to be seeking for peace. Destruction is coming, going into the missiles ultimately. All right, and people are going to be seeking for peace. All right, but it's not going to be any for those that's not of the Lord's elect. It says, mischief shall come upon mischief, and rumor shall be upon rumor. Then shall they seek a vision of the prophet, but the law shall perish from the priest, and the counsel from the ancients. Zaquanium shall be Zaquanium. It says Mazaquanium from the ancients. Ma from Zaquanium ancients. All right. So it says mischief upon mischief. Hey, so problem after problem. It's gonna get worse before it get worse. It says, and rumor shall be upon rumor. All right, you hear this over here, the economy over here. You got they paying for goods over here with debt. You see, just to eat. It says, then shall they seek a vision of the prophet, and the law shall perish from the priest. Hey, so the family of the words can come into play. All right, the men of the Lord not always going to be out there to reprove. All right, and at the same time, you go into Amos, I'm was. It talks about how or Salat, another part in the scriptures where it talks about the Lord's going to make our tongues cleave to the roof of our mouths. All right, and then in Amos, I'm was. It also says that it says it's going to be an evil time. You see, so it's not going to be during these bad times. You're not going to have the men of the Lord breaking it down. When rounds is flying. You see, when it's chaos, all hell breaking loose. Ain't nobody gonna be breaking down the scriptures, to the nation of Yasha Allah. All right, there's gonna be some that come in at the last minute, but for the majority, they're not gonna know what's going on. All right, and they're gonna seek for that peace that's mentioned in verse 25, but they're not gonna get any. All right, let's continue on. Back in this article, it says U.S. shoppers are using buy now, pay later services to shop for groceries at the cost of living wages, as the cost of living crisis rages on. So, according to new data from Adobe Analytics, which analyzes consumer spending online and tracks over 1 trillion visits to U.S. sites in the first 2 months of 2023, grocery shares of the spending done via BNPL services, buy now, pay later services, grew by 40%. In contrast, buy now, pay later usage for apparel products grew by 8% and fell by 14% for electronics. Hey, because the necessities are what's needed. People are going for the necessities, man. You see, whereas it was the convenience. Everybody was shopping for that convenience. You see, but it's going to be brought down to a micro level. People are going to be fighting for different necessities. You see, people are going to be bartering, trading, or it's like bartering and trading different things just to make ends meet, so to speak. It says, and rose to prominence. So like buy now pay later companies like Klarna, Afterpay, and Affirm emerged in the late in 2020s and rose to prominence as a way to enable users to make purchases online and spread the cost over a series of payments. Hey, so people doing payment plans for some fucking chicken nuggets, you see. It says historically these services have been used as a way to cover the cost of non-essential or pricier items. See, the luxury goods, the conveniency. For example, they have raised concerns among critics and regulators who say they encourage young people to spend beyond their means and get into debt. Hey, let's get a precept. This is Yeshaya, also Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 8. It says, verse 7, it says, and thou saidst, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. Therefore, Babylon the Great doesn't consider what's going to happen for living lavishly, so to speak. You see, and neither do the people that live in it. All right, other than the prophets. All right, it says, therefore, hear now this. The prophets in the the 1/3. It says, therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and then else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. All right, so pretty much, the leadership and the overall spirit of Babylon the Great is to dwell carelessly. All right, to indulge into the conveniencies. It says in verse 9, but these two things shall come to thee in one day, the loss of children and widowhood, they shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. Hey, so America is going to be brought low. All right, so America and the people in it. All right, they're which that's going into how this place is going to be destroyed. Going to back to verse 9, going into how this place is going to the people in this place is going to be destroyed. You see, but America is going to be brought low. All right, and it's starting with the breakdown of the economy and the different plagues. All right, and this is just one of the plagues. All right. It says they have raised concerns among critics and regulators who say they encourage young people to spend beyond their means and get into debt. Hey, so going into that dwelling carelessly. All right. It says, but according to Adobe, the way BNPL is being used is changing. While the number of online purchases made by BNPL services grew in the last 2 months, revenue fell by 19% year over year, indicating that customers are using these services for cheaper items. So for deodorant, toothpaste, soap. It says the rise of BNPL usage for groceries tells us consumers are likely making bigger purchases online to take advantage of special promotions and stock up on staples, thus managing living expenses in more flexible ways. Vivek Pandya, a lead analyst at Adobe Digital Insights, said in a statement Wednesday. However, a spokesperson for Klarna said that BNPL services are a good option for consumers to use for essentials, especially when buying in bulk to make savings. A spokesperson for a firm said its policy of not changing late fees or compound interest is an advantage for consumers who may otherwise use credit cards for these purchases. Insider also reached out to Afterpay for a comment, but didn't immediately hear back. Food inflation has reached record highs in the U.S. over the past year, and shoppers have been switching up their grocery shopping routines in response. This includes cutting back on non-essential items, trading down for pricier products to store own brands, shopping at cheaper chains, and now using BNPL services in different ways. It says discount chains that sell groceries have been well positioned to capitalize on this. One TikToker showed that it's possible to eat a variety diet and live off of $35 of Dollar Tree groceries for a week. For example, according to a recent report from Core Site Research, Dollar Tree and Dollar General slipped into the top 5 lists of retailers from which consumers bought food in 2022. Hey, so people having to start to change up how they living. You see, and it's only going to get worse before it get worse. You see, people going to have to make these life decisions because they're going to be put into the squeeze, man. You see, a lot of these women is going to resort back to what the businesses that they used to do in the ancient world. All right, and that's going to be prostitution. It is what it is, you see. That's just what they're going to be into. People are going to be trading alcohol for food and what have you. You know, that's just what it is. You know, if you're not covered by the Lord, you know you're going to be taken in these plagues, all right? So, I don't want to Zah, Zabanayapa, Baharacha, Lord's will was a beautiful edification through the Spirit. Call Layim La, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Bahasham Chakodash. A double honor to the elders and the apostles, great millstone that told me the truth and rule well. And much respect to you, brothers, that appreciate the truth with all righteousness and sincerity. Shalom, shalom, Laila to or how you want to Shalom.